recently had the opportunity to sponsor a keynote speaker with the local AMA, American Marketing Association event, and Ian was able to help introduce that speaker. It was fascinating to hear some of the things that of course, Google's involved in as they continue to be one of the innovators with where marketing and advertising is going. And certainly today, success comes down to executing well with the traditional tools that still have a place. But man, is it important to get a good handle on social media, search engine marketing, social media marketing, and we're pleased to have a talent like Ian to help sort through these things and provide updates and insights on how to be effective with that. So we're excited for another Straight Talk on Social Media webinar. Again, thank you for attending here today. I want to remind you that we love the interactive part of social media, and we love interaction on webinars. So if you've got insights or comments, if you've got questions, clarifications, you can click on the questions tab on your control panel and share those with us. We'd love to get those. So again, welcome. I'm going to turn it over to Ian.
Thank you, Dave. Welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session where we're going to look at social media for the little guy, some practical social media ideas for companies that aren't necessarily the biggest companies around. This was a topic that came about from some feedback that I heard from you all about what you'd like to see covered in these webinars. And as I said before, I'm always happy to get that feedback, so if you have any suggestions ever, just let me know. But before we jump into that main focus topic, let's talk about some news. First of all, a couple of weeks ago, the news came out that MySpace was going to be eliminating half of its workforce. And Fox, who owns MySpace, their CEO, Rupert Murdoch, was also thinking about selling the struggling social media service, it was reported. This led social media commentator Dan Frommer to say, MySpace is eventually toast. That much is clear. So just bring this up. This is, something that we have been talking about for a while. If you've been on these webinars, you've heard me say that MySpace has been struggling a lot, and I even predicted that this year might be the year that we see MySpace close. And this is just sort of one more step as they delete half of their workforce. This is one more step in the ongoing process of MySpace sort of declining more and more. So we'll keep our eye on that and let you know what happens. The next bit of news, a couple of weeks ago, Facebook announced a change to its policies with its outside developers, its third-party developers who design applications for Facebook. Originally, Facebook said that it was now going to make Facebook user addresses and mobile phone numbers third-party would have access of the applications. This, once again, as we've seen with Facebook so many times, sort of created a user uproar. People upset that their information about where they live and what their mobile phone numbers are was suddenly going to be made public to these developers. So within about 48 hours, Facebook actually did a turnaround. They did an about-face and asked and decided that they were going to not let this go ahead and happen. They're going to stick with their original policies of letting their developers only see certain information that will not include addresses and phone numbers. So again, we see Facebook having a challenge with privacy, but hopefully learning from its mistakes and deciding to turn back around. Speaking of Facebook, also on just earlier this week, it was announced that Facebook has designed a new ad program. Instead of just the Facebook ads that run on the right-hand side of pages, Facebook is now trying out what they're calling sponsored stories. And you can see an example of one here. The way this works is that if this person, for instance, in this example, Jessica Gronsky, if she checks in at Starbucks using her using Facebook Places on her iPhone, or if she says that she likes Starbucks on the Starbucks website, then not only will that appear in her set of posts and all of her friends' news feeds as would normally happen, but now also a company like Starbucks can jump onto that and put in this sponsored story where you've actually got a link to Starbucks and that sort of thing. So what's happening is that companies are now able to sort of piggyback both on people's Facebook Places check-ins and on people's likes all over the internet, and insert their own ad for the company itself. So this is, I think we're going to see, I think we're going to see companies wanting to use this. Right now, it's only Starbucks and Coke, which I think are the first two companies that Facebook is pulling this. But I think seeing had a quote from Facebook saying that users would be able to determine whether or not their likes and their check-ins were used as part of sponsored stories. But then another article I saw, which was on Yahoo's homepage on Tuesday, was saying that there's at this point no way for users to opt out of it. So, I think we're going to see some privacy issues with this, but also another opportunity for to on the traditional Facebook ads. So again, something we'll keep our eye on and let you know more about. Another bit of news, there's a service called Living Social, which is a Groupon clone. Living Social, just like Groupon, offers deals, usually 50% discounts on various services, both local and national. Living Social just last week offered a deal on Amazon.com gift cards where basically you could spend $10 and get a $20 Amazon gift card. And the reason that this is newsworthy, if you remember me telling you about Groupon's similar deal with the Gap, which was I think back in the summer, and that one sold tens of thousands of units. Well, this one here you can see 1.3 million of these Amazon.com gift cards were purchased through Living Social within a 24-hour period. So this tells us that online deals are alive and well, and it's also showing that with Living Social doing this, it's showing that Groupon does not necessarily have the corner on the market in terms of deals. And I'm going to be saying a couple more things about that as the webinar continues. And speaking of offers and deals, you remember I said a few months ago, or maybe it was just last December, a month ago, that Groupon had snubbed Google's bid to buy them for $6 billion. Groupon said no to that, and now this past week it was reported that Google is developing its own offers program. They're saying, okay, Groupon, if you don't want to work with us, then we'll go and do our own thing. This service is going to be called Google Offers. This is sort of a made-up logo you're seeing in front of you for it. But basically what we're seeing here is Google jumping into this fray with Groupon and Living Social and others like them. And so I think that part of what we're going to see with this, and one reason it's important for you to know about especially, the takeaway here, is that as more and more of these sites appear, there are going to be more chances for companies to take advantage of having a deal through one of these sites, because the more sites there are, the more chances there are going to be to promote your company through a deal. And my one to watch this week is the social media site Quora. Quora is a site where people ask whatever questions are on their minds, and then other users write answers to those questions, and then still other users vote those questions or those answers up and down depending on how good they are, how helpful they are, that sort of thing. It's becoming a popular social media site, even though it has some rivals with things like Facebook Answers, for instance, and other things. But again, the reason that the takeaway here is that there's this new word that's being bandied about that I think we're going to hear more and more. You all know what outsourcing means, which is when you take a project that you can't do in-house or in-country in some companies' cases, and you move it outside to another company. Well, instead of outsourcing, we are now hearing this word crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing means that people, crowds, provide information and decide what becomes popular. The first example of this, and still the best example, I think, was Wikipedia, where people, anybody can write an article on Wikipedia, and other people can then edit it or determine what is factual and what it's not. And I've seen study after study showing that that Wikipedia is every bit as reliable as printed encyclopedias in terms of the amount of sort of the margin of error and that sort of thing that you see with them. So that Wikipedia was the first sort of crowdsourcing network. But then we're seeing things, Dig and Reddit are news sites that rely on crowdsourcing to determine what news becomes popular. Yelp is a crowdsourcing site where people from all over can write reviews of certain restaurants, and then people can decide how helpful those reviews are. Now Quora, this general question and answer site that is relying on crowdsourcing. Just something we're continuing to see more and more of as people move away from centralized big media outlets and rely more on their peers to tell them what news is fit to read, what information is good to use, and that sort of thing. And now moving into the focus, social media for the little guy. What I've been hearing from the feedback I've been hearing from these webinars is that you enjoy hearing about companies like Old Spice and Papa John's and big national companies like that and what they're doing with their social media sites, but you also want to hear what the smaller companies are doing. So what I did was I asked around to some friends and did some research online about what some good, helpful small business social media sites are. And I've taken a look at what they did and come away with a few tactics for us to look at in terms of what these small businesses are doing through social media that I think are very practical for small and medium-sized businesses to look at. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The 4 tactics that I'm going to talk about today are customer engagement, question-answer sessions, deals, and contests. So those are the 4 that I'm going to talk about in this section, and I'll go ahead and jump right in with customer engagement. The company I want to talk about here is McMenamins Pubs, Breweries, and Historic Hotels. Basically, McMenamins are a series of restaurants and hotels and movie theaters also around Oregon and in the Pacific Northwest. They have many locations in Portland particularly. But the point here is that they have a lot of really fun customer engagement on their Facebook page. Their posts in general are entertaining. And then you can see here, and I'll just sort of go through these quickly, a few examples of small customer challenges they've done where they're asking people to identify particular parts of a McMenamins location, and the first person who can come in and tell them what it is or post a picture with them in it, wins a great prize. Here's one where somebody gets to go in and yell "son of a nail gun," but then they win an overnight package. And so what this is doing is just engaging customers by showing that they're being fun and showing some personality and that sort of thing. With each one of these tactics, I want to talk about some takeaways for your company that you can get from what these other small businesses are doing. So the takeaways for customer engagement would include, first of all, be engaging. In order to engage with customers, you have to be engaging. Be interesting. You've heard me say time and time again, show your personality through social media and give people a reason to stay connected to you, whether it is through engaging posts or great community news or fun sort of games like McMenamins has done with their customers, that sort of thing. Another takeaway here in terms of customer engagement is keep your product creatively in the forefront. McMenamins, with these posts that I've shown you, is keeping its breweries, its hotels, its restaurants, keeping those things in the forefront of what they're showing to their social media connections. And that doesn't mean necessarily that they're doing it without being salesy or pushy. They're not just saying, come in and buy our products. What they're saying is, here's an interesting, here's one of our locations that you may have seen. And so tell us a little bit about it. Take a picture of yourself there. That's about well, for instance, for our clients, you might ask people about their post a status saying, "Are you dropping your landline this year? And if so, why? Or and if not, why?" Or ask people about what their favorite channels are, or if they could design the perfect cable package, what would it include? Or get people using their internet service in a creative way. Basically, let your social media presence remind people and help them to use and engage with the products that you are providing them. That's what I mean by keeping your product creatively in the forefront. And then finally, don't be afraid to play. People enjoy a challenge or a game, and one thing I love about these McMinimans posts is that they're getting people up and out. It's the sort of thing that makes you want to, you see a post like this showing up in your news feed, and you want to say, oh, I'm going to take my lunch break early today. I've got to run over to McMinimans because I know exactly where this is, and I'm going to win this prize. What a fun thing to do, and also what a great way to show that your company has a personality and knows how to engage with people and have some fun. So don't be afraid to play. The next tactic I want to talk about is question-answer sessions. The idea here is to engage with people by letting them connect with somebody at your company, whether it be your customer service representatives or your marketing team or your CEO, but basically somebody who's actually going to be there live to answer questions via social media. So here are a couple of examples of that. There's this PTEX group where you can see on the post on the top that their CEO is going to be answering the question answering questions every Friday morning, and then featuring those questions on his Twitter feed, and then showing the post right below it, wrapping up saying we had an excellent session on the Facebook wall and thanking people for coming. Another example is this company Fast Tweets, where again the CEO is going to be talking every Friday from 11 to noon, going to be showing up on the Facebook wall to answer any questions. As you can see that announcement there at the bottom, and then the top post, saying, "Here I am. I'm actually here." Telling people it's not just a rumor. I'm actually here and online and happy to answer your questions. And then you can see one of the questions that one of their customer posts. He says, "I'm here and I'm trying to figure out what Twitter's all about." And she quickly answers his question, gives him some basic definitions, and points him to some helpful articles, and answers his question for him. And he ends up saying thank you, and that's the whole deal for them.